System 1 loaded.
Hi everyone, thank you very much for taking the time today to listen to a presentation about CI Scientific. I'm Jurgen Cyrulla and I'm the Managing Director. Just a little bit about CI. So we've been around for 50 years. We've got controls and industrial weighing, Autoclaves Australia, calibration consultants and active instrument services are all part of our group. We've been around for 50 years. We were established in 1969 and really we've branched out in quite a broad area these days. We're one of the first NADA accredited labs. We're also ISO 17025 accredited as part of that. And we also have ILAC accreditation and also Reg 13 verifiers. Our structure of the different companies is outlined here. Like I mentioned, I did touch on this earlier, and I don't want to go into it too deeply now, but we have a number of branches of the business and we also work together with approved subcontractors. We break our business into various areas of the business that touch onto different industries. So food, industrial equipment, laboratory equipment, in the medical range, weighing solutions and service and maintenance. And we have a team who specialise in those various areas, not just in the sales aspect, but also in the service aspect of things. Our current sites that we are actually located in is Sydney. Victoria actually has 2 locations now. Queensland, we work together with GrainTech and also Queensland Autoclaves, as I mentioned earlier. And we also have a team in the Philippines who actually work for us as well. And we have 50 full-time staff. And we also have an affiliate in New Zealand as well. Just go through, we have NADA and non-NADA services that we offer, as I've mentioned. So our scope of accreditation is here for NADA, which is mass determination, weighing devices, hydrometers. We're the only private lab that does hydrometers, testing machines, calibration of temperature measuring, auxiliary temperature calibration equipment, testing of controlled enclosures, autoclaves, incubators, industrial freezers and baths. We'll be adding povers, torque wrenches, electrical calibrator and pressure to those things as well. Our non-endorsed or traceable calibration, everybody calls it these days, is quite vast, covering over a couple of hundred different various pieces of equipment. And I'll just skip through this now, and I can definitely have a meeting with you guys and talk about the different aspects and how we can help you. But the biggest challenge is, as a business in this industry, was how do we give quicker report turnaround times? We know the average in our industry is somewhere between 15 to 25 days, somewhere in that order. And we're currently down at around 2 to 4 days, depending obviously on the time of year that we have with the amount of work. And we track all those things consistently to try and improve that turnaround time of reports and also the accuracy we measure as well. So just touching through this, we recently acquired some new equipment, torque calibration systems. We also have a Fluke 5522. This new torque calibration system is fully automated and now allows us to be one of only 4 labs in the country that complies with the new ISO 6789. So where does it go from here? With our fast turnaround times, how do we manage all this? We're an Australian-based company. We are fully compliant. And we've also gone through the latest ISO 17025 requirement audit and went through that with flying colours. And that leads me into the calibration app. So we searched high and low to actually try and find something that could handle all the different aspects on what we actually do and to be able to develop it and customize it for our clients' needs. And what we ended up doing was building this calibration app. And we actually have that now for over 90% of the equipment that we test. And that really ties in with my vision of ultimately same-day reports or it's free. And it won't matter if you have 1,000 pieces of equipment or 1 piece of equipment. That is our goal. We have already tried that and it definitely works. And now we're currently working through that software validation to make sure that we can continue to give the high level of service that we're known for. Now, you're probably asking yourself, why is this important? And that actually now ties into, and you can see here that it captures all of the information that we're doing. We're actually, for the people who are NADA labs, they're probably asking themselves, well, is that software audited, the calculations and so on? We actually don't do any, and yes, the data and the software is validated. The calculations are actually not done in our app. It's merely collecting the data and transferring that to our systems back in our server. That allows us to then do that whole management of those systems properly. Some of our suppliers that we deal with, and of course, if you need more information on that, please contact us, and some of our clients. So I just breezed over that because I really did cover that before. Where I want to go to now is I want to actually jump into our asset management system that we developed. So part of that calibration apps that we built an asset management system, and this is now going to be developed further. We've done a release to a number of selected good clients, and we're getting their feedback and doing further development. And as it's basically customized to exactly what we want, because the programmers are part of the CI team, it allows us to really integrate this with our clients. So I'm just going to touch on this here. So this is, for example, a sample client, and you can see here the whole assets that are in that client's database and who each contact person is. You could search by a contact person, you can search by a model, you can see the calibration interval, the type of testing that's done. You can even filter by the calibration intervals and basically go through and see all of that different equipment that's in your database. At this stage, because we're in that early stage of wanting to make sure we ease our clients into this, we've given you the ability to add on and take equipment out, but only if you upload it into our Excel form. Later on, because we do track every change and it is live on our database, we will give you the ability to update your database live and change your system and your assets around how you need. You can also then change the contact person if you like. You can go to John Smith and you can say, yes, is it for all of the equipment or just for individual equipment? And then you'll go through and it'll change that and it'll update all of those bits and pieces. I'm just going to jump back to the main screen. I think we're still live and everybody's seeing that. Now, part of the big issue is always for clients to say, look, we really want to have our calibration reports and we want to have a history on that equipment. And the question was, how do we do that? And what we've done really here is we've given you the ability to see all of the equipment and say, okay, look, I can either go through my whole list, and this little icon here on the side shows the service history. I can click on here and I can open up that little icon, and that will then show me, it's a little bit laggy there, show me the type of calibration. I could then select all, or I could select the individual if I wanted to, and I could just download that report and that would open up as a PDF, or I can download all of them, or I can actually leave them up there as well. What this allows you to do is also search. So if you've got an audit, you might say, look, show me that calibration report for product number, serial number 6677. You go up to this and you click it, and there you go, and you go, oh, it actually hasn't been done. It's really out of date since 2011. As I mentioned, this is a sample, and say, okay, good. So how do I now go about doing things in regards to that? Well, we've built further sections on that, which allows you to also schedule the work and also track that work. So I'm going to jump into our service records. And so, for instance, you can now see the status of all of your jobs. And here they're all complete. You could jump in here and it'll update as the equipment is done throughout. So if you're getting stuff sent into us for calibration, you can see, oh, yes, it's currently being calibrated. Yes, it's been dispatched. Yes, it's completed. So you can track that whole process right through. And you could also, and this, like I mentioned, this is a sample, you could also now click and actually view the type of equipment or the calibration that's actually been done as well. So that's your full history there. You can search also by job date. Yeah, so many different areas there that we've developed. We've also done something here called service request, and I'm just going back to full screen. And what you're seeing here is a list of equipment that is your assets, and you can see, okay, this is now totally manageable by yourselves. We also send you reminders, but here you could go in and say, okay, anything that's red is due or overdue for service. Green means it's already on a job card and it's pending. And of course, if for some reason you've updated it and you've clicked here and there's no calibration date, it means that it hasn't been done before. You could now take that and you could say, right, I wish to add all of this equipment to my to a request form. You can select that. You come here now, you select all equipment due. It now auto-populates all of your information that you wanted to have in there from your database. You can now add your additional email addresses. Maybe there's a particular address that you want to have it returned to, or you want us to come out on site. Is there a contract price in place? If you have a special turnaround time, you might say 5 days. How you're going to be sending it in, or if you want us to come out on site, you can see that over here. You can now say a preferred date. Say, look, I'd like to have that work done next week. You'll send that through, and you might have a preferred time. Say, look, we want someone there at 10 o'clock. Now, all of this information can also be printed out, and you'll see that in a minute. Is it all going to be sent in? Yes, it's coming into a CI lab. You can now submit this document. Say yes. And what you'll now generate is a complete PDF document that you can print out. That's already been sent to us with our system, and a job card has been raised for that equipment as well. So it's taken all that information, put it on a job card, and it's going to be opening up now here as a PDF. And you'll see here, this is your PDF of all of the equipment. It'll have all of your information in there, and then we'll mark that off when it arrives, and when it gets dispatched back and the calibration, all of that information is already in, making your life a little bit easier if you're sending things in for calibration and giving you that complete transparency. Now, in addition to that, we've got a few things that we've also included. So we've had a number of clients come on board from other suppliers because of our system and our quick turnaround times on the reports, and also the low level of inaccuracies because of our system, the way that we can track those things. So we've created something called historical reports. This allows you to also upload, but we can also do that as part of a service, upload all of your previous reports, so that you have a continuity of your reporting system. So you can then tie that in with your past reports. There's nothing in here at the moment, but then you could also, sort it by a particular area, state. You can search, and that allows you that if an auditor comes in, he'll say, look, where is our calibration historical data for this? And you'd say, oh, look, it's in here, and I can check here. Many times, and we've added a few extra features here, we get asked a lot for our scope of accreditation. So you can go here now and you can click on this, and it'll take you straight to our live scope of accreditation on NADA's website. And then in here is also our current workers' compensation and public liability, which is always a major question from a lot of our clients. And here you've always got the latest information, and your quality team can ensure they've always got the correct documents. Now, people have asked me, this is great, but when we get an audit from our auditor, and he comes to a piece of equipment and there's no calibration sticker on there, but there's a report, was it calibrated? What do we do? Now, CI has taken this to another step further. We have realized that that is an issue, and we are now in the process now. We've already done the trials on this. We've built a calibration app for this in regards to for your auditor. We will provide a QR code for each piece of equipment on a stainless steel plate that'll be attached to your asset. That'll allow your auditor or yourselves to be able to go around. It'll have also your serial number and your asset number on that plate. They'll be able to scan that QR code, and that QR code will always pull up the latest calibration report and the latest calibration date of your equipment. This will be now available later on in the year. We have a full engraving system that we have implemented, and we're finding now that this is really going to change the way that audits are done. We all know that thing that when you get an audit and the auditor says, where's that report for that piece of equipment? Well, this will eliminate this completely. You'll be able to go up to it, you'll be able to not even go to your computer, you'll be able to scan that and have that report ready for your auditor, and you'll be able to email it from there, or you can just simply view that. So that's our asset management system that we've built, and like I said, there's more and more things coming. I'm just going to now go back to our system. Just a moment. Going to go back here. So that concludes my presentation today in regards to our asset management system. I'm going to hand over to Maree Stuart, who's a long-time partner of CI Scientific, and she's from Mass Management Systems, and her topic today is going to be better asset management from a point of view of quality systems, and that ties in with my discussion. Let me hand over to Maree, a very, like I said, very capable person, ex-NATA assessor, is a chemist, and now currently also holds a law degree. Please let me hand over to Maree.
Hi, I'm Maree, the founder and principal consultant of Mass Management Systems. I've been in this world of labs and quality for my entire working career, and I've been running Mass Management Systems for 16 years. Prior to that time, I worked with NATA and, as I said, in laboratories. So I've been exposed to a whole host of systems and processes and types of testing in the course of my career, and I'm very excited to be able to share some of that learning and some of that knowledge with you and in conjunction with my friend Jurgen. So in today's webinar, I'm going to be covering some of the basic requirements for asset and equipment management. I'll be touching on the relevant requirements from standards like ISO 17025, ISO 15189, ISO 9001, and the TGA Good Manufacturing Practice requirements. Now, it probably won't surprise you to learn that many of those requirements have similar basic features. So we'll be starting with just those basic elements across all of those standards. And during the webinar, you can ask questions that may be more specific in relation to the standards that you work with. Underlying the requirements in all of those standards are some basic elements. The first being that you need to make sure that the equipment that you have is managed and that you have access to it. Secondly, you need to make sure that you calibrate your equipment, and that's so that you can achieve traceability and comparability of your measurements. And that also allows you to be able to be certain that your measurements are indeed correct, which I'm sure anybody who makes measurements would want to be sure of. So drilling down, the basic elements of equipment and asset management are those of access, fitness for purpose and maintenance of equipment to ensure that that remains the case, and traceability. So we'll look at some of those in a little more detail. So what are some of the requirements for access? Well, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to own the equipment. It means that you need to be able to get to that equipment when you need it. And sometimes that might mean that you lease it or you share it. If you share your equipment, which I know in some areas of science that's increasingly the way that people manage to get their work done, then you still need to take responsibility for the fitness for purpose for your equipment that you're using. So just because your friend that you're sharing the equipment with may not be interested in calibration that is traceable doesn't mean that you shouldn't. And that is where you need to be certain that you have done the right things to make sure that the equipment is the right equipment for your measurements and will deliver the outcomes that you need. And related to the topic of having access to the equipment is knowing what you have. And so for that reason, people will develop asset registers or equipment inventories or whatever you might like to say those things are called. It doesn't matter in what format those things are. It just means that you have a list of what you have, things like unique identifiers, serial numbers, who the manufacturer it was. Those sorts of details are really important because equipment is often one of the most expensive parts of your business. Because there's no requirements in terms of the format for your asset register, excuse me, you can use other tools like databases and other pieces of software that may or may not be contained entirely within your organisation. The main thing is that you have some information and you can access that information in relation to the equipment you actually own. And that's where the CI Scientific Portal can really come in handy, because you can always lay your hands on it and you can always be assured that it will contain the relevant information in relation to what you've done with that equipment in terms of calibration, maintenance, and so on. You might have heard of that term fitness for purpose and wondered, what does it really mean in terms of equipment? Certainly it's a big feature in ISO 17025 and 15189. What it means is making sure that the equipment you're using is going to do the job that you need it to do and your clients expect. The task of examining whether something's fit for purpose starts right at the moment that you get the equipment or you start looking at the equipment. So that means looking at specifications for a start when you're looking to buy a piece of equipment or use it. Is it going to meet the requirements of your method? Is it going to meet the requirements in terms of uncertainty that your clients are expecting in terms of their results? Secondly, once you get the equipment, then, does it need calibration? And in most cases, yes, it does. So making sure that the equipment's calibrated before you actually go to use it is a critical thing that you need to make a part of your process of equipment management. And the other thing, of course, is, does it remain fit for purpose? And that is where things like maintenance programs and ongoing calibration are critical. So you need to have a program that deals with that. And things like the CI Scientific Portal that Jurgen's talking about can make that job a lot easier for you. Now, the third basic element is that of traceability. Now, some people take that to mean that you can find all the pieces of paper that you require to prove that you did what you did. And that's fine, that's one element of definition of traceability. But in the context of equipment and assets, we're talking about this term called metrological traceability. Now, there's a internationally agreed upon definition for what that means. But essentially, in plain English, it is that you can have an unbroken chain back to the SI or whatever your stated reference might be, and that can vary. It doesn't always have to be back to SI, particularly if your clients don't expect that. But that unbroken chain of comparisons all contains information on things like measurement uncertainty and the standards on which those calibrations have been based. And you can trace that all the way back to that stated reference. So it's a bit like a family tree for your measurements. The question of whether it's necessary to calibrate your equipment and achieve traceability is something that's best answered by you, the users of the equipment and the doers of the measurements. And to work that out, sometimes it's not such an easy task, but help is at hand. If you need some assistance with that, then why not come along to the Mass Management Systems one-day workshop on Without a Trace, which is all about traceability and working out how you can achieve traceability and whether in fact it's necessary. The calibration of equipment is how traceability is essentially realised. Now, for some measurements, that is simply just getting the item calibrated. Someone like CI Scientific comes in and does a calibration of your equipment. And for other items or types of measurements, sometimes you need to use some materials as well to ensure that you achieve traceability, particularly in the chemistry and the biology spheres. So that's where things like certified reference materials, in conjunction with an external calibration by an organisation such as CI Scientific, can really help.
I'd like to say that if anybody would like to ask more questions, please feel free to ask them now, and we're more than happy to answer the questions. And I apologise again for the fact that we had some technical glitches, but these things do happen when you go live, and I hope that you can all appreciate that side of things. But you know, we are trying to push the boundaries in regards to calibration, traceability, and the whole asset tracking, asset management system. And the clients, and I'm happy also to pass on information from any clients that currently are using our system and how much they are really seeing the benefits on that. Maree, did you wish to add anything on that side of things? We can go now to answer some questions.
Kira, you asked a question about whether CI Scientific do electrical tagging. That's something for Jurgen to answer. But the thing I was just trying to say before was that as an auditor, from a NADA perspective, being able to have
your screen sharing, Nancy.
Yeah, being able to have your if you like, calibration reports and records like that at your fingertips gives a lot of confidence to the assessment team. The problem is when you start to be scrambling around for those things, then the auditor will question, well, how well is your system working for you if you're unable to find that sort of thing? So embarking on using a system like the one that Jurgen's been talking about would be of great benefit to you in terms of the actual assessment process on the day.
There was a question in the chat room whether or not CI Scientific can provide test and tagging as a service, and yes, definitely we do that. And all of the equipment that we actually sell, we always test and tag it and make sure that it's electrically safe.
So I've asked the question if anyone's got any questions about whether or not you have ideas or how this might work for you in terms of keeping your NADA assessors happy and content that you know what you're doing and your equipment's all calibrated and measurements are traceable. So has anyone got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, does anyone have any further questions about our system that we've developed and how the how actually our app works in regards to the calibrations and the testing that we do? I'm quite happy to answer those things. It's been 5 years in the development, and we've worked tirelessly to perfect that. And then, like I said, it's now tying completely into that asset management system. Yeah, somebody's asked if there's a demonstration portal available. Yeah, we have a demonstration portal that we use for when we go out and do demonstrations. It's exactly the same one that I showed you today. But pretty much what it is that generally if we're going to come out to show you how this works, we will actually load your or set your system to live so you can actually then see exactly how it works for your particular assets.
Does anyone have any questions about how they can keep their auditors happy when they're looking at through your equipment calibration records, and how a system like this can help ease that pain of an NADA assessment?
Yes. What I'd like to know is in regards to the people who are currently online and so on, what sort of points of pain are you guys currently experiencing in regards to your calibrations and maintaining that whole asset and the quality system? And maybe we can then incorporate some of that in our future development.
There's a couple of questions here as well, Jurgen, that have come through about on the actual assessment, how do you present this to the auditor? And will the use of cloud storage keep NATA happy? If I answer the second question first, I'm hoping everyone can hear me. Effectively, because you're accessing a system that, yes, is on a cloud, and Jurgen has to, as a part of his assessment process, show that that's secure, that he maintains confidentiality with that system, and that it's all able to be traced, the integrity of the system works and so on. The NATA auditors should be happy with that. There's no requirement for you to actually have physical pieces of paper or soft copies on your own servers. And the change to 17025 has acknowledged that largely laboratories are moving to cloud-based solutions for information management. In terms of the first question that Kira asked is whether on an assessment how you present this platform to the auditor. I guess Jurgen can give some more details about that as he goes through audits in just the same way as you. And but essentially you would tap into your the platform using your unique details to get into that, and from there be able to engage them and show them where all your records are.
Yeah, so I'd like to jump in there. So everyone has a, okay. The auditors to show the integrity of the software, that it can't be corrupted, every aspect of it has been tested, and we've documented all of this information as well, and we're quite happy to share that when we do a presentation, or if we're actually tendering or quoting on a particular job, or if you're actually one of our clients already. And that's basically how we address that. We're completely on a cloud, and in regards to data integrity and security side of things, we currently back up to 3 locations, and we ensure that we also have a local backup as well as 2 cloud solution backups as well. So that really covers that whole aspect. And when we actually got audited ourselves, we went through that, and really they were very happy with that whole aspect of things. Yeah, so there's the question about using CI cloud storage should keep NATA auditors happy. Well, it depends. I guess my answer to that is depends which auditor you're getting, but we hope so. Do we have any further questions? Do we have any people who've actually experienced issues with their current providers, and what those issues are? And maybe we can go through that and how our system will assist in that. Okay. I think that you can still post questions for a period after this, once the webinar has finished, and we'll be going to be able to answer those questions for you at any time. Like I said, feel free to ask any questions and see how we can help you a little bit more. Maree, did you have anything further to add?
No, I think we covered all the material. As we said throughout the presentation, because the volume in my part of the presentation was low, you'll be given a link to that material. And of course, I'm more than happy to have a discussion offline, I should say. And it's obligation free in that regard, but I'm happy to have a discussion with you if you're facing some issues around NATA or TGA or whomever you might be engaging with in that regard. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, everyone, for attending today and for giving us your time. And I hope that it was of benefit. And like I said, please contact us with any questions you have. We've got a lot of experience in the industry and have a lot of knowledge, and hopefully we can help you guys as well. Thank you.